This mic needs to be closer to all of us.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Top Deck Heroes, your number one source for your My Hero Academia collectible card game news and previews and results and everything. Tonight we have our regular hosts. We've got Jesse Cervini.
Hey.
Tim Keefe.
Hello.
And your reigning, defending, undisputed provisional champion, Kevin Broberg. And myself, Sean O'Brien.
It's good to be with you, Sean.
Undisputed, a term.
All right, on that note, let's move on to the news. We have some news this week. Tim Keefe, take it away with the news.
Yeah, so a couple bits this week. First, they have formally announced a content creator program where if you're making content for the My Hero Academia CCG and you talk to them, they can set you up with, media assets, the sorts of things you need for your YouTube thumbnails and things like that. And there's a couple levels to it where I guess if you produce content at a certain rate, you'll get a higher level and maybe they'll have you on to commentate some stuff with them or that sort of thing. So that's pretty neat.
Tell them you love us so we can get on this tier 3 or whatever it's called.
Yeah, it looks like there are 3 tiers.
Think of all of us doing play-by-play calling for nationals. That would be quite an epic time. Well, once we're not playing for money or something like that, I'll talk.
Well, the thing is, what I think is going to be really cool coming out of this, and one thing I see for huge potential, is if you get 2 or 3 crews of, certified, professional commentators, there's no reason at a $250,000 cash purse tournament that you can't have multiple coverage streams, as long as you've got the bandwidth.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially as a 32-person invitational, right?
There's
Every
no
match
bad
can be
matches.
covered.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you got the bandwidth, you can cover all 16 matches, and then all whatever matches, and then so on and so forth. So I think that's super cool.
Yep. The other thing that went on since we did a Sunday show last week to catch up on some previews and kind of split the difference between then and this week, we had the signups for the Legendary Wolf Provisional that is in person in Omaha. And they sold out about as quick as all the other ones, even though it's an in-person event.
Yep.
Yeah, so they ended up doing 2 rounds of ticket sales, one on the first day, one on the second day, and it was 64 each day, and I believe the first round sold in 13 minutes.
Yep.
And then the second round were gone by the end of the day.
Yeah, and they have issued an email out to their waiting list that, there were a handful of people that, despite their best efforts and all sorts of big, bold print and italicized, there were a few people that signed up that did not realize it was in person. So there are a few spots open up for their waiting list. I'm sure they're gone now.
Oh, I'm for sure. I think that's going to be a really, really good event. I know, I've been to events at Miles' store before. I think we all have.
I have not. This is going to be my first time in Omaha.
I haven't.
Well, Kevin and I have been to events in
We've
Omaha.
been a few times now, yeah.
And they put on a really good show. They are well organized. They're efficient. The store is, nice. It's not like a cave or anything because it's in a mall. Normal things you worry about in a game store. Is there enough bathroom space? Well, yes, because it's in a mall. Is there good ventilation? Is there food nearby? And Miles' store really checks all of those in a good way. So I think that's going to be a really good time.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, they have the Tokyo Fried Chicken at the ramen place. I mean, that's the only reason to go to Omaha, right? Yeah, so I think those are the 2 big news things outside of previews. I know we have a bunch to go over tonight. We have to go all the way back to February 28th since we took last week off. And should we get started with that, guys?
Yeah,
Let's do it.
All right, let's transition to the scene. And let's bring up our first preview. Alrighty, so we got to go back a little ways. We're going to go back to Stain's Ultra Rare, Sinister Paralyzation. This is a 4/2, 3 low for 6 with a 2 mid block. It has all evil in order, Stain's symbols. It's weapon, combo weapon. Enhance. If your rival is taking damage this game, seal 1 rival asset or foundation. And then combo enhance. If your rival checks a printed 5 or higher to block this attack, they recheck. I think this is a pretty spicy Ultra Rare, honestly. Because I feel like that first E is free. Because dealing damage over the course of a game of My Hero Academia It's something you're hopefully doing. Otherwise, you're not having a good time.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, I think, some people have sort of lamented that the 2 check is, but, this is an above average statted Fortif. It's off zone. And I'm a big proponent of targeting out rival foundations, and this card just does that pretty much free on its face. And yeah, do you wish it was a 3 check or something? Sure, everyone wishes that every 2 check was a 3 check, right?
Yeah.
But, if this is the card you need to win games, play it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that this card, I can understand why you'd be underwhelmed by it, but I think it does fit into a couple not necessarily completely obvious synergy kits. A bunch of Eraserheads cards reward you for playing combos and combo abilities, and this is a weapon with combos, so it fits into all of that very neatly. Momo rewards you for playing weapons. Momo support rewards you for playing weapons.
Well, one thing critically to remember here, too, especially if you're considering using this in a Momo deck, it doesn't say combo weapon attack. It says combo weapon. So if you have weapon assets or weapon foundations, that satisfies your combo requirement.
So a couple quick things to know about that combo ability. So you can only recheck a given control check once in UFS. So you might read this and think, well, yeah, your opponent checks a 3 on this block because they'll keep flipping until they hit 1. It's not that cool, unfortunately, or a 3 or a 4 or a 2 potentially. If you're really lucky. And yeah, I think that ability really kind of boils down to -2 speed ish, or +2
Plus
speed
2
rather.
speed.
Yeah, and
Unless they're running 2s and 1s.
It's like if they check a 5, turn that 5 into a 3.
yeah,
Maybe.
it's almost one of those combos where it's like, you know what, this card's pretty good as it is, but we're going to give it a combo effect that does kind of something, and that way it has the combo keyword, you can play it with Eraserhead stuff, it's almost just there,
Well, remember, you can't recheck a recheck.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's not as fun as flip cards forever.
Yeah.
Right. But, when it does work, it's going to feel really good, right? You're going to feel very clever. Your opponent checks a 5, recheck. Oh, you checked a 3, and they're going to commit 2 foundations that they weren't expecting to, right? I feel like, but...
Well, I always expect to check 3s, and I'm often rewarded
True.
by checking 3s.
True. I think this card's cool overall. I think both of those abilities are just free and efficient more than anything else, and I think that's what makes this card good.
Yeah, there are going to be players that write this card off until they lose to it, and they won't realize that they lost to this card until they've lost to it for like the 5th time.
Yeah.
Alrighty, let's move on to a foundation. Next we have Challenging the Fakes. This is another Stain card. It's a 2/5 foundation with a +4 mid block with the Taunt keyword. And I think this is the second time in this preview cycle that we've seen Taunt come up.
Taunt.
Enhanced Flip. This attack gets -1 damage. If it is not blocked, your rival's next check to play an attack gets -2. Failing that check does not end the combat phase.
Yes, this is great.
Yeah, this card is really, really good.
There's a lot of 5-hand-sized characters who will enjoy this card.
Yeah, it's a breaker, except that you don't actually have to block.
Yeah.
Or
Yep.
even have the block in your hand. You just flip this guy, and people should probably be pretty familiar by now with how much Breaker 2 can kind of mess up your turn.
Yeah.
This is worse than Breaker 2. If your opponent has a hand overflowing with attacks, they can just play one and let it fail.
Yep.
And so that escape valve is meaningful, but I think pretty marginal, because usually if your opponent has 5 attacks in their hand, you're just dead. And,
Well,
on turn 2...
But also, they can't do the, play a low foundation, low
Yes.
foundation to
Right,
counter
right.
it. It's like,
Yeah, the break.
so
yeah.
it goes more of a, kind of that, older idea like Jordy West. Like, you're flipping it, you're doing some stuff, and to make the next attack, and it focuses on that specific keyword, and that's where it gets its value.
Yeah, and I think this is a really fun play pattern too, because it kind of telegraphs to your opponent, I don't want to block this. And so then if they have, abilities like Harden in play, they can be like, oh, cool, you're not going to block, so now I'll use these. And then, I've certainly seen times where someone's used this, their opponent has then overcommitted on the card, way in excess of what the real cost of having flipped this was. And then, just block, and now you spend all these resources for nothing.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but
Good beat.
you could also consider, what if you get like 2 of these in play?
Yeah.
Like, and I mean, I think in that situation, the best mode is to use them over 2 attacks.
Yeah.
But if you really don't want, if you're expecting your opponent to play a certain combo next, right? Like maybe you're playing against a Momo and a Staff Strike is coming. I'm gonna spend 2 of these to make her staff strikes check at -4
Yeah.
all day, every day.
Yeah, it's a very fun card, very cool design because it still has, like most flip costs, virtually once per game, so you have to pick your time accurately. But it's very, very good when it's time corrected.
Ooh, next we have... I love all of Stain's art, by the way. Next we have Hero Killer. This is a 2/5 with a 3 high block. Response remove. After your rival builds or unflips a foundation, remove it. And then Deadlock first form remove. Your weapon attacks gain stun 2 for the rest of the combat phase.
This card is amazing.
Yes, that response would have been really good back when Hiroshima was around, right?
Well, this card is such bait because this if you use this, if you probably use this hardened jab, they build a foundation and you pop your Hero Killer on that. That's a move you only do when you're really desperate for them to fail control checks that turn. Because it's just stun 1 at that.
But you can also remove something when they're like end of their turn, like end of the turn, like they're building on something. Like remove that.
Yeah.
Like that's
remove the thing you don't like.
Like it's better than like we used to have a card. We had a card like this, and it did like it. You had to do it during the combat phase.
Yeah,
this
they played this card is like coordinated effort destroyer, not because your opponent has coordinated effort in play, and then you can snipe the attacks they build. No, it prevents coordinated effort from entering their staging area in the first place.
Yeah,
because you build during the end step.
And this Deadlock first form is absolutely devastating. I don't think we've seen a devastating Deadlock ability so far, right? I mean, most of the Deadlock cards I've encountered, and I play a deck that doesn't care about going into Deadlock. It's like, whatever, you can't do anything to me. This does something if you're running a weapon-heavy attack deck. Because losing 2 of your cards, even if you're at 12 or 14 foundations, that's going to use up your stage pretty quickly.
Yeah, this is shaped like Pull No Punches. It is shaped a little bit like the DLC card. I'm forgetting the name of it.
First Villain Encounter.
First Villain Encounter.
Yeah. Which you can read as +2 speed to everything this turn.
So it is in that vein, but unlike Pull No Punches, you don't have to use it on every attack, so it doesn't... If they have an irrefutable force of nature, it's not just shut down.
Not that that would have happened to anyone.
Not that that's ever happened.
Yeah, this card is incredible. Trading one of your foundations for one of your opponent's foundations for the best of your opponent's foundations is an incredibly good ability to have. If you're ahead, it lets you just keep the game at a lower resource count, and if you're behind, you can snipe their best card, and
it also just like keeps like it's always on the like they're building out. There's some people. It's like, well, the first attack didn't go well. I go to build out, and they just start like, oh, I check a 3. Oh, check 3 again. I'll commit 1. They slowly like, oh, I'll also have 5 ready. Then you're just like, oh, I'll take your best one off of that, and now you're down to 4 on your next turn.
Yeah, speaking of irrefutable force of nature, you can compare this card to irrefutable force of nature, but once you spend it, both players they can't commit that sealed card to pass control check ever again. It's gone.
Yeah,
I think this card is gonna be really devastating on like the turn on the like going first. Like go first. Somebody goes first, and like I build 4 and I build 1 of these. I'm just like, better build more than 4.
Yeah.
So I'll get
yeah, this card I think is gonna feel really, really good going first.
Yes.
Yeah, and it is just one small downside, right? Unlike the apathetics and the irrefutables of the world, if this is your 9th foundation and they've already got 8 or 9 and they're not doing any build stuff, this card could be blank if they're staying at a deadlock, right?
Yeah.
So you do run that risk, but you're hoping to get some early game advantage, get some damage, and you're staying. You want to deal damage for your character. You'll figure out the rest later.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alrighty, well, let's look at. I think we got some cards for Deku coming up. Maybe.
I think we have the end of stage support, the rest of Bakugo's, and the pre-release promo. I think that's what comes up here.
So, first we have Alleyway Ambush. This is a 5/3 attack with a 2 mid block, 4 high for 5, and has triple infinity, which means anybody can use it. You put it in your deck. It has a Crimson Rampage ability. If there are at least 5 cards in your card pool, this card ignores progressive difficulty. Now, the 4 of us have been around long enough in previous iterations of this game to know how good this ability is.
Yes.
This card is absolutely sick.
There's 2 things that are going to hold it back. It has no keyword traits to gain off of it, except for a character can give it a trait.
That's true.
But there's not really a character in this set from all the characters that were revealed that really benefit building a giant pool. There's nothing like none of the characters have like they're a Jiro.
Or if they do, they want keywords, right?
Yeah.
But this is a triple infinity attack, so I do not mind, right?
If it has any
this
home
being
at all,
this like oddball techie piece, because the last thing you want is have a triple infinity move that goes in every deck.
Yeah.
And I know there are people that think that that's the case of Crow and Frog right now. I don't think that's really true. I think that's just a factor of the one set format, and once we have more cards, we'll probably only see Crow and Frog in Crow and Frog, and probably not all the frogs. But
Yeah, one of the things that kind of disappoints me about this card is I think the character that can best take advantage of this has the wrong color UA symbol on him.
Yeah.
Right? This card feels really good in Crow Guy. Was that Tokiyami?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This card feels...
I don't know how many people are mad that Tokiyami doesn't get this card.
I'm not mad, but I'm disappointed. Right?
Tokiyami 2 does.
Yeah, but does he do as good at getting his card pool filled as the other one? I don't think he does.
No.
I think, I'm sitting here thinking of this and thinking of the cards we've seen more recently. I think Toga could have a home for this because she can draw a lot of cards.
Yeah.
If she could actually get to a 7-hit string once in a blue moon.
Mine.
Yeah, and you don't have to fill your pool with attacks.
Yeah.
You're allowed to attack twice, play your 3 foundations,
Play your price
slap
of
this guy
peace.
down. Yes.
There's plays here with it. Like there's definitely will this card see a 4 of? Probably never. But could this card be that 1X that's gonna be fire on? There's definitely some decks where it's just like, oh, I play that late game. It's like I'll play one of this because I can come in after my string and be like, catch this.
Well, the chat mentions Hatsume Mei.
Yep.
Yeah.
9
hand size.
You get 9 hand size. That's good. This could potentially be good in Cementos if you can get his hand size high enough.
Plus, we don't know the DLC characters yet. We might see something in the DLC
Yeah.
characters that might catch us off.
Yeah, but
And we don't know we know the quirk characters, but not the plus ultra ones, or we don't know the
We
trigger
don't
ones.
like that.
There's some promo characters or promos that we don't know that we assume contain some characters.
But it's you can think of this as a vanilla attack that turns into a 0 difficulty when you're playing in a long enough string.
Yeah.
One thing that is kind of a shame is back in the format we mentioned earlier, you could play your first turn, play 4 foundations on your first turn, and then whack somebody on your first turn.
Well,
that is not allowed in
the fact that it is not legal in this format is probably why this card's allowed to exist, right?
Fair enough. You could not do that.
If you have to high roll that much, I'm not even that worried about it.
All right, next we have Piercing Descent. This is another stain card. It's a 4/3, 2 high for 5 with a 1 low block. It's got Fury, Weapon, and Combo Weapon. Combo enhanced, this attack gets +2 damage. If this attack deals damage, your rival loses 1 health.
Yeah, so read this as 4 difficulty, 8 damage.
Yeah.
And I think then it's a question of, how do you make this 2-speed attack land? Well, it is already off zone, and if you can mix them up or overwhelm their high blocks or whatever, it's a pretty strong card.
Yeah, this is a good card for if your deck has this idea that I'm going to play pretty much entirely low attacks. This is the card you play 2 copies of this, and it demands that they respect the high zone.
Yes.
Because if they don't, they're taking 8.
Yeah, if you got enough low weapons, you're good.
Yeah, Stains Kit's kind of cool. It has 2 of these attacks. This guy and the mid. I don't remember if we've covered that one yet or not. But where it's
going to cover the mid.
Yeah, it's just very lopsided stats. Where here's a 4 difficulty move. It's 8 damage, but it's 2 speed.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're gonna have a 5 difficulty move that's 7 or 8 effective speed.
Yeah.
But it's 3 damage. And it's kind of cool that we have the 2 ends of the stick there.
Mm.
Alrighty, next we have, I believe it's a Bakugo Foundation. Yep. We have Forcing Surrender. It's a 1/5 with a 2 low block. It's got Bakugo symbols, Death, Earth, and Fire. Response flip, after you play a combo ability, your rival discards a momentum. And then enhance flip, discard 1 non-attack card from either player's card pool.
Tim, how good is this card?
Yeah.
Yes. That's how good it is.
So this is really cool. So when you catch somebody with this discard a thing from their card pool, it's gonna matter a lot, right? I actually don't know if you always discard Summon Dark Shadow because it might be counting towards progressive, and if it does, you might just want to leave it there, which is kind of funny. But you have things like create capture net. You might have other sorts of combinations where people are playing their stuff out of order.
Or they're trying to set up something, like they're using quick creation, put it in. You're like, get rid of that.
Yeah.
It's like also just discarding your non-blocks. Like sometimes you're like you just need to like kick that non-block out of your pool.
Yeah. So there's a bunch of sort of defensive uses where you're taking you're breaking up your opponent's actions where they have some Dark Shadows in their card pool on their own turn, but also you can use this to clear your own card pool if you have a face down card. If you have,
a non-attack block.
Blocked the non-attack block. Yeah, exactly.
Like, I can definitely see people doing the, like, you get your first attack break card, you play a foundation, play your next attack, and you're like, kick the foundation, let's get back to work.
This is a nice answer to Sticky Balls, which is a unique that people are running 4 copies of.
Yes.
Which is how good it is.
Well, the chat mentions this in ETA. Because if people are playing non-attacks to satisfy their combos, this kind of hoses them.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and after you play combo ability, your opponent discards a momentum. That ability is also very good.
Yeah.
Flipping to snipe momentum on a 1-death is a very, very good rate. Your opponent paid a 4 or 5 difficulty to play that attack.
Yeah, and hey, sometimes you'll be able to hit their momentum with the other ability. It is a +2 low block. You might need that. And yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. I'm probably going to say this every preview show. There's going to be 2 sets now. You're going to be making a lot of actual decisions about what foundations you're playing.
Yeah.
And will be interesting to see how many people choose to include this versus something a little more generic but not as high impact when it is good.
All right, next we have Tutoring Hiroshima. He got expelled. It's a 2/5 with a 3-bid block. It's an ally card with Bakugo symbols, of course. Response remove. After this card enters your discard pile during the enhance step, your rival flips a foundation. And then enhance flip, your powerful attack gets +3 damage. That's like paying for powerful from your stage with a flip cost, right?
Yeah.
It's flip for +3 damage, and then if you have a destruction effect, it pays for itself again. Like it's the double. It's got a solid double up of like I will give this 3 damage, and then I will destroy it. Oh look, it's a graveyard, remove, and make a flip.
Yeah, Tokoyami and All Might and who knows who else, Daddy probably, I don't know, are going to be able to just flip this for free at random and make your opponent flip cards, which is pretty tasty.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can discard this a latent skill.
Yeah, this card it patches like if you're playing a quote-unquote powerful deck, right, where all your attacks have powerful, you have some natural problems, right? First of all is what are you going to do before you have momentum? And second of all is you're probably spending that momentum on one of your powerful attacks or 2 of your powerful attacks. And how do you make your other attacks matter? And this card can close both of those gaps, right? If you're taking... if you know that your big powerful attack's going to land, then sure, this is 3 more damage. But this is a little bit better at, that first attack that you're not really popping the powerful on. Give it some damage, make them block, make them deal with it.
Yeah.
Also, I love that. So this is why Hiroshima got errated, is because he got chronic CTE from Bakugo's training.
Dang. All right, let's have a look at our next set of previews. We're getting caught up. We're going to go back to Stain. We have Double Blade Slash. This is a 5/3, 5-mid for 3 with 1 high block. It's got Fury, Stun 1, and Weapon. We got 2 enhances. First enhance is you can only play if you have Evil. Lose 1 health. Your rival's check to block this attack gets -1. So it's +1 speed.
Yep.
Enhance. If this attack is blocked, your next attack gets Stun 1. Which means your next attack gets +1 speed.
Yep. Yeah, so, I mean, I think the idea here is that if you put it in your stand deck and you have a super fast attack, you can play on turn 2 and try to speed past your opponent's defenses. Or if they manage to block it, then they won't be unable to block the next attack and still be able to get all your gears turning. I'm sure not a fan of paying 5 difficulty for 3 damage though, guys. I gotta admit.
Yeah, it's kind of a neat card where people try this in like their pre-con stain decks or whatever, but it's really sort of like here's a card. We'll see if people play it, right? We're not going to tell you you're playing this card or not. You can decide if you're playing this card or not.
Yeah.
You played some Stain. How do you feel about losing a little bit of damage in order to really make sure you turn on your effect?
I mean, you could just play a throw.
I think this card's all right. It's a solid common. I mean, this is where we're gonna definitely see a lot of this in previews. We always do, where there's like, that's a pretty good common, and you know what? That's what it's gonna be. That maybe it's because, like I said, the pool gets bigger.
Yep.
The options of what you can play and have to play get bigger. So it's like some things are never gonna make a deck, but sometimes they will.
Yeah, I think this is a card that's going to struggle in that category. I think if Crimson Rampage was its own one set format, I think this card might see some play. But I think, when I'm building a deck, on these symbols, especially evil, I'm not sure this is going to make the grade.
I could imagine a character that's just like a big damage idiot, right? Just one of those endless 6 hand size damage guys.
Does Endeavor have evil?
No.
No.
Yes, all fire.
Earth?
Oh, Nomu could play this, I guess.
Yeah, you can see this.
Yeah.
So
Like,
they're characters that just like put damage
5 and
on
8,
things.
5 and 8 Nomu, and
This card is, for a mid attack outside of like Hardened Pummel, is like uniquely a little bit good against plus ultra because they make it 0 speed, but their check to block still has -1.
All right, yeah.
It's kind of funny.
The 2 stuns.
Yeah.
That.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. This looks like Gale Force Punch, but watered down to me, and I don't like watered down by Gale Force Punch.
All right, next we have Slashing Whirlwind. This is a second ultra rare for Stain.
Oh.
This is a 4/3, 5 mid for 4 with a 1 mid block. It's a Fury weapon. Enhance discard 2 momentum. Stack its +10 damage. Only playable if you've dealt damage this combat phase.
I like powerful 5s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
It,
this will kill people. That's all I was gonna say.
Be sure to put the text +10 damage on a card.
Yep.
That is certainly a thing in Crimson Rampage.
And it's sure a base 5 speed mid,
Yeah, and it is a 4/3, 5 mid 4, which is a slightly above average
Plus
rate,
1 mid.
even as a blank, right?
And it's
as a
1
real
mid
block.
block.
So even if you don't have the momentum, you can lob this thing. Right?
Yeah. It's almost as good landing as Double Blade Slash, but for one less difficulty. So
And 1 more damage.
Like this is the attack that will like you're just gonna sit on like, oh, I've touched you with Stain, and I'm gonna be like, when they're like 2 attacks in and they haven't used the Stain response on a block, you're like, that Slashing Whirlwind's coming, isn't it? And he's got 2 momentum.
Yeah, you're going to want to control Stain's momentum when...
Yeah.
Yeah, just the threat of this card is going to let a deck that's running it, if your opponent knows you're running it, once you have 2 momentum, your other attacks, if they can stop themselves from taking damage, first of all, they're going to want to take no damage at all.
yeah.
Right? But if you play a thrower and electric jolt or something, and they're going to take damage, now anything else you do on that turn that is not the +10 damage move and is not going to kill them right now, they may very well just take it.
Yeah.
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 And the thing is, powerful 5, because that's why I want to equate this as. I'm going to equating this as powerful 5. Powerful 5 is scary to print.
Yes.
We've seen in the past powerful 5 be devastatingly good. So I think this card's very, very good, very powerful.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I like one thing I want to say too is I like that it kind of I can't remember the phrase that Mark Rosewater used for this, but basically it kind of guides you on how to play your card. Right? Like if I'm a beginner player, I might see, oh, I drew my ultra rare, slam it on the table, but it says, oh, you can't do this until you've hit your opponent this turn. So play some footsie with them, like poke them a little bit, get them to twitch first before you slam your big ultra rare.
Yeah. Plus,
So,
like Tim mentioned earlier, it's respectable enough that if you draw 2 of these, like, okay, I'll just play 2 of them this turn.
Imagine having 2 momentum and playing one of these as your first attack. Like, what do? They have to assume you have another one, right?
So they have to block this one.
Yeah, or if they know they can't block everything, they have to check, all right.
Yeah.
All right, next we have Intimidating Presence. This is a 1/5 with a 2 mid block. It's a weapon on a foundation.
Nice.
While this card is in your card pool, your rival attacks get -1 speed. And response flip. After your rival readies 1 or more foundations due to their effect, flip 1 of them.
This is a good spam. This is a really good card. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can read this. So the -1 speed to all of your opponent's attacks, that won't help you block with this card, right? So if they have 3 speed attack, you block this. It's not in the card pool until you've already finished blocking, so you'll still have to pay a 5 difficulty for that block. But then it effectively doesn't count to progressive difficulty after that point.
yeah.
So you can think of this, if you block 3 times that turn, it's like a +0 block, which is obviously phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
And then, the response is pretty marginal, but if you're looking for weapons, if you're looking for just more mid blocks to cover your bases with like that. Yeah, it's a good card.
Yeah, I think this card can patch up some problems for order decks, where before Hero Killer anyway, and we'll see how that changes things, right? Orders look to point at your opponent's foundations things, all committed then.
Oh, yeah.
And every Air Chaos and Order deck is playing Requesting Assistance and just sort of laughing at those effects. and this says, no, I said that foundation is gone. It's going to be gone whether you ready it or not, you know?
Yeah, and if you ready it, it's gone forever.
Yeah.
And I do like and I can't think of many effects that ready more than one thing that isn't face down, like, Rescue Completed comes to mind, readies 2 face downs. But if we ever get to a point where something readies 2 of something, this is targeted flip. It's not...
Yeah, and actually there's a couple characters who ready things, Snipe.
Poor Tokuyami.
Yeah, Tokuyami, yeah.
I ready 2 ally foundations. Okay, one of them's not ally anymore.
He doesn't ready.
Yep.
Alright, we gotta move on to a new day's support. We got some Deku cards now. We have Leaping Right Hook. This is a 4/3, 3 high for 4 with a 2 low block. It's got Deku symbols, Earth, Good, and Life. Charge and Punch. Enhance. This attack gets +2 speed and -2 damage. If it deals damage, draw a card. And then Deadlock Enhance. This attack gets +2 speed and +4 damage.
They really want punches to be a thing. Also, this character's just like... This card's insane with the character himself. Because it's just like, alright, I'll make it a 5 high for 2, and then I'll discard a card and make it a 6 high for 5, and if it deals, I draw the card. I recruit my card. Like, it's just fine.
That's respectable.
Like, this card will be played more on, do I need my low blocks filled out? I think.
Yeah. Do I need low blocks? Do I need cards that, even if they're not going to scare my opponent out of deadlock, at least do something if they go there?
Yeah.
You know, the option select has some inherent value. Sometimes you're sort of indifferent about your 4/3s. Like, okay, maybe I really want setup strike or something, but what are the other ones going to be? I'm not really sure. You know, you're on life, so you don't have Texas Smash, for example. And
well, let's do a top deck hero survey here. We got 4 players here. Would you trade 2 damage for the potential for drawing a card?
Yes.
Yes, for Jesse?
I would certainly prefer to have the option than not.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it depends. If I'm putting more damage on it, yes. If I'm turning an attack they might block into an attack they don't care about, I'm not sure.
See, for me, I think I'd almost always rather draw another card just to have more options, especially since this is only going to do 4 to begin with.
Yeah. But if you think that 2 damage is going to
I think it's
drastically further your odds of winning, right? Yeah. So
I mean, I'm spoiled by Reciprocal Extend at this point, so I will choose draw a card and 2 speed to my next attack, and it's going to stay at its starting damage.
Well, remember, Recipro Burst also does 2 damage to your next attack.
Right? That's my point.
Next, we have High Value Target. This is a 1/5 with a 3 low block. Deku symbols. When committing cards to pass a check to play a block, this card counts as 2 foundations. And then response. Before one of your foundations would be destroyed due to a rival effect, destroy this foundation instead. This card does a lot.
This card does a lot of things, and it's gonna be... I feel like this card is gonna be a build trap for players, where they think this is an auto 4x.
Yeah.
And... when it's going to come down to, like, there's going to be 2 things that it's going to come down to, is as more foundation destructions comes into the game. Like, we're seeing a little bit here, a little bit there. This card we'll see more, we'll see more, like, I want to play 4 of this card. But looking right now, it's like, there's a few things here and there, but there's nothing, there's not a lot of target destruction. It's like, make your opponent destroy something, do this, like, but a lot of people are going to see this as, like, this counts as 2 foundations. I'm like, okay.
This is exactly -2 speed, but at a very advantageous time. What I was just sitting here thinking about is, speaking of, like, 4x, like, instant 4x, everyone thinks it's the staple. Put this next to Specialist Sound. Specialist, you have to pre-commit before they even play a single enhance to give it -3 speed, which is one more minus speed than this, which, to be fair, is worth a lot. But then if they have speed resets, if they have any other speed pumps, if they have there are a lot of things that can go wrong with that, and they can also just say, okay, well, I know you want to block this one, so I'm not going to do anything to it.
Yeah.
Where this, it's at the latest possible. You already know what you checked before you decide whether or not to use this.
Yeah.
You know, so it never goes to waste at all.
I think this card increases in popularity, or in upcoming, coming soon popularity, if Carson Panos makes a deep run with his Death Nomu this weekend.
Yeah.
That deck is a Nomu running 4 Evil Gaze, and he's got the Merciless Rush, I believe it is, the 4/6 Berserker Blow, rather.
Berserker Blow, yeah.
That has targeted destruction on it, and he's making his attacks faster, and you want to block them.
Yeah. I mean, you could always make a card better, but I want to see soonish a card like this, but not for destruction, but for flip effects. That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of good
It
targeted
also
flip
doesn't
right
redirect removes.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
other
it doesn't touch Hero Killer.
So it doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't touch Apathetic. Doesn't touch Target Commit yeah.
Yeah. It hits Evil Gaze, relatively
Gaze,
specifically, and some decks running Berserker.
Yeah, a handful of other Nobu stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
First
We
one?
have a lot of set to go. There does seem to be a lot of specific. All right, we want to have a counter this type effect. We want to have a counter this type effect. So I will not be surprised if we see a flip version of this. Not one bit.
Yeah.
Alrighty, next we have another Deku card. We have Back Alley Haymaker. It's a 5/3, 4 mid for 5 with a 2 high block. We got keyword spaghetti here. We have Charge, EX2, Punch, and Stun 2. And we have Enhance, draw a card, or build 1 foundation with a printed difficulty of 0 from your discard pile.
This was like the first Sun, and then the punch we just talked about that goes to 2 damage is like, I don't know, that's like the dog. He doesn't, they don't really feed him anymore. They don't care. This one just gets all the love. This card's so good.
Yeah.
Yet, this card is one of those things that does everything, right? And if you're in a spot where, because there's diminishing returns to drawing cards, right?
Yeah.
Eventually progressive difficulty catches up with you. So if you already have all the cards you want in your hand, you always just go up +1 foundation.
Yeah, and I think that ability is. I'm really high on building foundations in the middle of my turn. I think that is a very, very good thing to be doing. It gives you it builds you have a permanent resource. So after this turn, you'll still have it to help you out. It's improving your position for later in the game, and also just immediately comes into your stage and lets you pass control checks. And you don't have to you don't have to pass progressive difficulty for it. Especially in a character like All Might 3-Dot, who goes to 8 cards in his hand. It can be really hard to play out all the cards from your hand that you want to put in your stage. Just because, if you're playing a stand with 5 cards in your card pool, you check a 3, that costs 2 foundations to build that 0 div.
Yep.
With this, no, it's straight in your stage. Ready to pay for your commit 1 cost.
Well, I want to mention, too, the math playing defense with a card like this. If you're playing, like, Jiro or a breaker-heavy deck, this card messes with your math. You look at your hand and say, okay, I got 2 breaker blocks in my hand. They have this many foundations. This is when I need to execute my breakers for maximum effect. And then they play this, and your math is all off for the turn now.
Yeah.
Because on turn 2 or 3, 1 makes a lot of difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine your opponent's relatively low, but they're trying to hang on, right? They're trying to decide they're turtling up. They're keeping like 7 or 8 foundations ready, but you have a momentum. And then you play this.
Yeah.
You stun them 2. You EX2, you go get your other Battle Resolve, you commit those for 3 speed.
Oh my god, I forgot about Battle Resolve.
Yeah. Battle Resolve clearly, this card,
Yeah,
I see
they
it.
really like each other.
Yeah, this is a good card. I can't say there's like a good 5 diff throw or 5 diff punch right now. It's like it's a throw. It's like the only other one I would consider.
Yeah.
All the other ones, like this is a contender to that.
Yeah. If you're playing,
Because you know what, you draw that card guaranteed.
This is like Recipro extend good, and I don't say that lightly.
Yeah.
Alrighty, next we have another punch. We have Full Power Clash. This is a 4/3, 3 mid for 3 with a 1 mid block. Doesn't look good so far. Fury, Powerful 2, and Punch. Enhance, choose one of your foundations. This attack gets +1 speed and +1 damage for each copy of that foundation in your stage. And this is in the character that likes to build multiples of things.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah,
I was really scared we were going to see a foundation of his thinking like, oh, I can play 8 of this. I was really scared for a minute. I was like, oh, it's awesome, but like...
I have 16 copies of this card in my stage.
Hey,
You know,
I'm
power
just
to you,
saying.
man.
I'm just saying. There's some old school plans in my head of like, I'm gonna kill somebody with this card in another format.
Yeah, but
I-
you can. This guy's gonna be 4 mid 4 minimum, pretty much, unless your whole
Yep.
board's. No, even if your whole board's face down, right? You just have one copy of your own face
Arguably.
down. You'll get it to 5 mid 5 often enough. It's kind of just an above rate card that has a late game dream, kind of scales up as the game goes on. Kind of cool for that.
And it's got a 1 mid block.
Yep.
And good
has
blocks
powerful.
on attacks are usually
Yeah,
hard
this
to come
is
by.
an attack that can get to 6 speed. Like in Deku, this can be a 6 speed, a decent fraction of the time, and then it has powerful 2 to go through 6 speed. That's a nice stat line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Between this guy, mid attacks are kind of normally a little disappointing, but if you're gonna be playing the haymaker punch, there might be a world where you just try to actually overload
Just-
the mid zone.
All you gotta think is how much longer, if more people, especially as more sets come out, how many people are gonna keep playing Pulse Ultra?
Yeah.
And that's the game. Like right now, I'm like, that's that. That's a
Plus
possibility.
Ultra is easy to put in your deck right now.
Yeah, it's easy to fit it. Like, and then when you're 3-4 sets deep,
This set's gonna have some actions in it somewhere. You
Yeah.
know?
Mhm.
like I think this,
Presumably.
Yeah.
like this is definitely something that's gonna come in hot, and you're like, oh,
All right. Next we have Any Means Necessary. Deku's eating his thumb. It's a 2/5 with a 5 mid block. Not looking good. You commit your life enhance. Commit your character. If you have 0 cards in your hand, this deck gets +1 speed and +3 damage. Response: after you discard this card during the enhanced step, draw a card.
So that top ability you can ignore completely. Maybe
Doesn't
you'll
do
do it
anything.
once in a blue moon. If you're playing Deku.
You'll feel really good when you do it.
Yeah.
yes,
Mostly this is here so that you can discard it and draw a card. Which is
Cantrips are good.
great.
yeah.
It's just great.
I mean,
There's so many.
you can't off symbol it, which is where all the fun times can happen. But there's still a lot. I went through everything that's available right now. There is a lot of cards that I'm like,
Well,
I will definitely play this just to cycle it and be happy with my play.
Yeah, this symbol doesn't lack for discard card costs.
Like the straight up filter card is on one of these symbols. So just I discard a card and draw a card.
Okay.
I just high engine kick, discard 1, draw 2. The Bobo Foundation, discard 1, draw 1. Like there's a lot of filters out there, or just paying a discard as a cost, and you're like, all right, get another one. Like as long as it's during the enhanced step, that's all that matters.
Next, we have a throw. We have Overhead Reversal. This is a 4/3, 3 low for 4 with a 3 high block. It's a Deku card with throw. Enhance. Build a foundation with a printed difficulty of 0 from your discard pile. Committed.
So is this like the middle child? They had the
guess
good
so,
sense
yeah.
to build it committed, but it's still an otherwise really good card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a common. It had to be committed.
Yeah.
If it was a common, it built a 0 already.
Well, not
Well,
only
this is-
that, but it's a throw, so it's almost guaranteed damage.
This
Yeah.
is kind of wild, yeah. Like in the first set, I don't think we had tape swing, but we had all of our throws were mid and they were all 5 difficulty, right?
Except for the Mineta one, which was fairly often 4 damage for a 4, but it had a
Oh, it was a
terrible
4
block.
difficulty, but
Yeah.
it was still mid. And this is a, I guess we saw the
Ibarra?
Yeah, Ibarra. Like that was a 5 difficulty throw. It was also low. But now we have a 4 difficulty throw. It's not a punch, I guess, which hurts Deku a little bit. But yeah, it gives you a card back. Like, this is like Hardened Jab crossed with a low attack. Like it's
I have a
nuts.
crazy feeling Punch was on this at some point, and they were like, "This is no."
Yeah, it's too much.
4 punch throw. No. We gotta get rid of
Well,
that.
what-
Deku 2 still can only pump punches.
Yes.
Is that right?
I mean, the thing I do like here is that because it's not a punch, it doesn't like pseudo say on this card, you can only play this with a straight face in Deku, right? This is a 4 damage throw on 4 difficulty that builds 0 from your discard pile, and all 12 symbols have access to good 0 diffs.
Yep.
Yep.
So that's a solid card.
Yeah, that's a great card. You'll see it all over the place.
All right, next we have New Training Method. This is the Parkour card. I think it's called Parkour, where you like jump
Yeah.
around.
Yeah, he like straight up parkour at this point.
That's a 2/4 with a 2 high block. Response: after you build this card, build 1 foundation from your hand. Committed. Response: commit flip. After you check a foundation, add it to your hand. This card is so good. Because remember, at the end of your turn, you build.
Yes.
So it's like
so you could hold a high difficulty foundation, a low any foundation you want, and you can guarantee after playing this, you're not going to fail the check.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's a downside. The card you get to cheat in, the extra build you get with this. It's not going to do any good until your next turn, which is not great.
But do this going first, Kevin. You're just like build. Like, all right, I built 4 safely. Come on down, build.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, if you fail a control check and your turn ends, you can still get one more foundation.
Yeah.
Yeah. This card, I want to say somebody's going to dredge up some example. I can't think of another foundation in the 16 years of this game that has done this. Where,
No.
like,
That
when it
has
comes down,
brought an extra one
you
with it.
drop one from your hand.
Yeah.
It's going to be very weird to see.
This
how
is a card. This is one of those cards that's gonna go into the mad scientist pool, and somebody's gonna do something stupid. It may not even be in an MHA. It may be in the bigger formats.
Did I even read the second ability on this?
No, we
No,
don't
it has
care.
one.
It has
No,
one.
it's
We'll,
really
we'll get to
good.
it. But
I know you
man,
did.
It says
Can-
Archivate Flip. After you check a foundation, add it to your hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine passing the torch. You can only get foundations off of it, but you get to see it before you turn,
Yeah.
before
Yeah.
you commit the card.
Yeah.
Yeah, have you ever gone down to 0 cards in your hand in your opponent's turn, playing out your blocks? But now imagine you checked a 1 high block on that last block, so you put it in your hand, and now you can block your opponent's finisher.
yeah.
Or, there's a foundation that was spoiled on last night's show that matches at least one symbol with this that says,
2, I think. Yeah.
yeah, you might be 2, that cancels a throw pretty much.
Yep.
That as long as you check it,
Yeah. So if you want to play a lot of 4 checks in your deck and have some fancy defensive tricks, you get options. I think we will see decks that are built with
4s are
this card.
Canadian 5s. Remember.
Canadian vibes.
But yeah, I
These
think
cards.
I think this card will show up a lot in decks that want to run 6 3 difficulty foundations. Very likely in other decks, people are going to try it, and I think everyone's going to have their own opinion about this card.
Yeah.
It's just going to be one of those cards that some people think is the greatest thing ever, and some people are like, that's overrated.
I will say definitely, All Might 3 is definitely getting some love from these cards.
Oh,
And especially if you're not afraid of Deadlock, he can just go crazy now.
Dun dun dun.
All right, we have an Ultra coming up from everyone's favorite Ice Husband. This is Searing Glacial Storm. It's a 5/2, 2 high for 6 with a 1 mid block, ranged stun 2. This is spicy. Order first enhance. Both players remove foundations in their stage until they each have 5, and this enhanced step.
So this is the Diet Coke, and if you put Cementos into it, it just explodes. It's great. So that's really bracing. If people are afraid of Cementos building a 50-card staging area, he gets to have 5 now.
And not only does he get to have 5, those 45 foundations are removed.
Oh, it removes them too.
It removes them. I think this card is great because, as somebody who's played a lot of defensive universes over the years, when somebody plays a stun deck, my answer is just to build my wall 10 feet taller, right?
Yeah.
10 feet taller, 10 feet taller, 10 feet taller. And this comes along and says, no. You think you're safe? This gives you power over me?
Yeah.
Remove all your cards from the game.
Yeah,
This is a plan. Everyone's gonna see this card, and there's gonna be a lot of people who are gonna play this card right when it comes out, and they're gonna be mildly disappointed because they're gonna be like, "This isn't doing anything." But then when you look at some of the people who have been playing this game forever, I'm like, "This is a late game win. This is the late game win condition where you're just like, all right, you've cycled a few times, you've done this, so you've gone deep into deadlock. All right, I know my deck count. You don't know. I'm like it's like catch, and it's
Yeah.
Here's a mode to consider, though, guys. Because I think everyone's going to say, oh, you make this your first attack of the turn, and you mess with their stuff. My thought is you play this late in your turn. Like, your opponent has, tried to make sure that they've used all their best stuff, it's all committed, and then you play this as, like, your 3rd or 4th attack, and all their good cards are committed. Now they have to decide, well, do I keep my good cards that are committed, or do I remove my ready foundations?
and I think it's worth it too. That this is just a 6 damage attack with Stun 2. Like that's not nothing either.
Yeah, you do get to just play this. This is a good card for in this game. You really, if you want your deck to be good, you really want to have some sort of long game plan. you want to have an idea of how you're going to beat somebody if they're sitting behind 8 ready foundations and 4 cards in their hand all the time, or they cruise into deadlock and you don't have good enough deadlock threats or whatever. And some decks like just your 6 hand size, I put stats on things, guys like Todoroki, can get just scaled out by a giant board. And this card says like, no, my 2 speed, 2 damage, and my stun 2 are still going to matter this game.
Yep.
One other thing to remember about this card, and we saw this a little bit in previous formats, is if I don't have 5 cards in my stage and I play Searing Glacial Storm, nothing bad happens to me, right?
True.
Yep.
I have 5 cards in my stage, I play this, you have 7, 8, 9, 10. You lose foundations and nothing
This
bad
is going
happens.
to also be a card that how player 2 can get back in the game after an outbuild.
Yeah.
Like, when your opponent has done the double, when you're going first, they go first and they do a 1-2 build turn. Like, they're like, basically 1 attack and then like build out. They're like at 8 foundations. Now you're like, I'm on 3, he's at 8. I'm behind this whole game. Now you have a way to get back in.
As long as you don't check one of these when you go to play it.
Well,
Yeah.
sometimes that's how it goes, but you just gotta like it gives people out. It's gonna give a lot of people out. This may live in a lot of sideboards more than anything. This is gonna be a card that like a three in your sideboard. And you're like, oh, I'm going second, and
it is an order enhanced, so it won't be literally everywhere. Which is
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see how much people try to be ready for this card versus not. You know how if it's just like a couple order decks that make up 10% of a tournament, those decks will feel really good if they're running into players that just aren't ready for it.
Yeah.
I mean, I made my first big mark in this game playing a deck that was just like, what are you going to do? Get ready for this? I'm like the only one running it. Like,
yeah.
And it blew up the board.
Alrighty. Now that we're done gushing over that card, let's move on to Half Hot Ignition. This is a 4/3, 4 mid for 4 with a 2 mid block. Breaker 1, Fury and ranged. Fire Enhance. Discard the top card of your deck. This attack gets -1 speed and +2 damage. And Water Enhance. If this attack is completely blocked, it still deals 1 during the damage step. I hate those abilities. They make me so bad. I want to block and take no damage like I was meant to do.
Yeah. I mean, I'm happy it's gated by a water enhance, at least. But I mean, Order now like if you're randomly an Order water character, you now
1 damage theme deck.
the 1 damage that 1 damage poke bed. Ding, ding, ding. This is fine. This is one of those cards like it's like if you're playing a water deck, it's a way to poke and guarantee momentum. It's a solid breaker.
If your opponent, if you don't think your rival can block, you know that Fire Enhance is free.
Yeah. Or if you're supposed to say, you sure you don't want to block this?
Or if you're trying to
or...
stack up for Tongue Whip.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you know what this card, what format this card's gonna be really good in? Draft. I'm gonna draft all the copies of this card.
It's an awful lot of mid, mid zone, mid block, but
Mid is better in draft though.
Yeah.
it's less bad. I'll give you that. I'm pretty half on that.
I see.
Next we have Defrosting. This is a 3/5 foundation with a 2 mid block. Enhance once per turn. Discard the top card of your deck. Choose one of the following effects. By the way, I love the elegance of that. This is the second we've seen this a couple times now. This is beautiful and elegant. Good job design. You get to choose. This attack gets +2 speed and -1 damage, or this attack gets -1 speed and +2 damage.
Solid.
Yeah, so you get -1 of something for +2 of the other. You can do this on both turns. So if you want help blocking something, this is effectively, if you're on full block, it's a free, +1 resource to help pass that block. On offense, you can either make your attack faster at the cost of a teeny bit of damage, or a little bit harder in the same way you talked about.
Yeah.
Half hot.
Yeah, this is kind of an interesting card. It kind of feels like a 2 difficulty foundation and a 1 difficulty foundation kind of merged together. Right?
That's why it's a 3 diff.
Yeah, you
I
would kind of expect to get like a free -1 speed. I think we've literally seen it on a 0 diff actually.
Yes.
But you could see that on a 1 diff potentially, and something that's just like 2 stats each turn for free. It feels like a 2 diff ability, but like if this was actually a 2 diff, maybe it would be a little oppressive in a bunch of copies or something like that. So
yeah,
I can see it at a 3. You're probably not going to run it if you have a bunch of other 3s you want to run, but if you don't, you're a fire deck or something.
So,
what
I
things are
mean,
you running?
Dever definitely is, we already know that Dever has like a theme going where he wants to get his deck
he
low.
it also fills your bin. Yes.
Yeah, it's a fill bin card,
Yeah,
which
I feel like the best mode on this is actually +2 speed is very good.
Yes.
I have wished I could commit for +2 speed.
Yes.
Oh, this one's freer.
Yeah, and so yeah, if you're like Endeavor who has just a boatload of damage on his face, if you're playing Todoroki, +2 speed on stuff at the measly. I think that type of ability is going to be used much more often than the other two.
Yeah.
Because also you can just use here's your crappy, here's your electric jolt. I'm never blocking.
Yep.
-1 damage.
Yeah.
I'm coming around, Scarlet. I was not
Yeah,
plussed at first.
+2 mid block's nice. But, at least it's not like a +3.
yeah.
Alrighty.
It's no sticky balls.
Next we have Downward Frost Spike. This is a 4/3. It's a Todoroki card with a 2 low block, 3 low for 4, punch, slam.
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 Enhance. Your next punch or ranged attack gets +3 damage. And Deadlock Enhance. This attack gains stun 3.
Oh, I thought was there a card that had this effective the same text, but it had the hit?
I don't remember.
I really thought it said if this deals, your next move gets 3 damage. That's a little better that it doesn't have to hit. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it does gate you onto a punch or ranged attack.
Yeah.
But those are not hard to find on these symbols.
Yeah.
Cards like this are cool. Just because, especially this one, compared to Setup Strike, right?
Yeah.
If you play Setup Strike, you're giving +3 speed to your next move. Even if they might want to block that move, they might not be able to, and they'll just block your Setup Strike. If you play this, you say, my next move's getting 3 damage. Do you want to block this one?
Yeah.
You know?
What if my next move is
It's
a
a great
frog lash and it's already enormous? It's going to be even bigger, and you'll be completely sad that you blocked. But then if you just, I could see Todoroki playing, just opening with this, not even putting Dark Shadow on it, and just saying, yeah, here's my 3 speed low for 4.
Yeah.
You want to block?
Yeah.
I got Dark Shadow Ruin waiting in the wings here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, any deck you can put this in that runs a lot of lows
Yeah.
makes your opponent think about it, because a low block's a resource, and low is harder to block than mid, because it's low.
Yeah, and honestly, if you just play this as your only low attack and just get in for 4 damage for free at random, that's not bad either, because
No.
I don't, long-lasting explosion is a card we see a ton of, and that one of the best modes on that is +3 damage to your next move.
Yep.
I'm Fire Shigaraki. You're blocking this, I'm sorry.
Ooh, that's nasty, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Whew.
I hope you can block the next one.
Next we have Drowning in Resentment. It's a 2/5 with a 2 high block. Enhance Flip. This stun attack gets +2 or -2 damage, playable while committed. Nice and themed there. Response Flip. After a card leaves your discard pile due to your rival's non-character effect, they add the top card of their deck to their card pool face down.
Leaves a discard pile.
Oh, snap.
A.
Yeah, and so there's a
Wow.
curiosity of the rules here. I can't think of that many things that actually trigger this.
Eraserhead. Oh, wait, that's character ability.
Non-character.
Yeah, characters are exempt. So Topiami is exempt,
So-
Momo is exempt, Eraser is exempt. Specialized Sound Waves is not.
No.
Yep.
But they choose the cards they're putting on top of their deck. They enter the transit zone, and then this triggers to put a card in their card pool.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yeah. The transit zone is leaves triggers are basically the one thing that happens while cards are sitting in the transit zone.
Yes.
So you don't get to take the card she's stacked, but you are still putting a card in her card pool and making whatever it is she's trying to do next a little bit harder.
And actually, they would both leave.
Yeah.
I think it's more of there's a lot of the stuffer cards right now are cards out of the discard.
That's
The Sue
Oh yeah.
the Sue attack the DLC attack.
yeah,
It's
Tongue Whip and
yeah.
sticky balls. Yeah,
Yeah,
they
that's
are
really
out.
funny.
So it's oh, you did that to me. Guess what? Back to you, buddy.
Yeah. Back at you.
Stare right
pal.
at stare. It's not a bad card. There's a card that just
Isn't this
there's gonna be if the deck becomes too much. This is a good answer of I'm gonna counter your counter. I'm gonna counter your play by doing it to you.
And I think flip for plus or minus 2 damage, play well committed is very good.
Yes.
And you want your opponent won't always have a stun attack at the right time that you want to not block it. But if you're gonna get hit, -2 damage, we think a 20 life character is a lot better than a 19 life character.
Yep.
Or a 30 life character is a lot better than a 28 life character. putting this in your stage makes you into a 30 life character.
People are playing Super Regeneration that does nothing but soak 3.
Yeah.
Yep.
This can soak 2. It can do it while it's committed. It can +2. It can, randomly hit on stuff.
It has a good block. Yeah.
Yep.
Very solid card. Can I play this in the provisional next weekend? I just want the +2 high block. That's all.
I know. I understand. Yeah.
Trust me, what I'm playing for my +2 high block for this weekend is like,
You're on order. You're fine. Your order's okay.
It's actually not that okay, but
No.
I think that card's good. All right.
yeah, I have to agree with them. I'm like, I don't want to play this card, but I kind of need to. My high blocks are awful.
Well, talk about a card that you want to play.
I want this card now.
Ice Gliding. This is a 1/5 with a 3 mid block. Enhanced commit. This attack gets +1 or -2 speed. If it's blocked, the next attack gets +1 or -1 speed.
Oh.
Jesse, tell us why you're excited about this.
Okay, so I'm gonna put the old man hat on here, and they had this card for damage at one point in time, where it was +1 or -1 damage, and then if it dealt damage, +1 or -1 to the next. So now we have this on for speed, and the fact that it is +1 or -2 speed is big. It's just like it's on a one mid, like a 1/5 spam. But also, you don't decide on that bonus and that next. Obviously, in this format, it's a little harder to play the decision game.
Yeah.
It's pretty obvious what the plan is. But
+mine, -yours. Yeah.
yeah, but you don't make that decision on the increase or decrease until next, because maybe they play something that say they play an attack that's like, oh well, I really need to kill the speed on this, so you go +1. You go you're like, all right,
There's some moves to make.
There's
yeah.
some moves.
Yeah.
This is one of those cards that can do some really cool things.
You might specifically, if it's shared symbols, I don't think it does, but there's an Aoyama Foundation that can give your attack base speed if it speeds below prey, right?
Yes.
You might have something like that going on.
Yeah, like there's some little games that this card can play, and I like this, but this card it fills a spot that these symbols needed more than anything. It needed just a generic commit. And it gets a little bit more because, I blocked it. All right, let's go to the next one.
Yeah, I think Water's the happiest to see it. Fire and Order had heroic lineage, but not necessarily a whole lot else.
Yeah. So on the base rate of this commits for -3 speed if you're blocking all of their attacks. And commit for -3 speed is very good.
Can I also say the one thing I'm really enjoying about this set is the return of the symbol-specific abilities.
Yeah.
It has been a minute. And as long as a crazy asset doesn't come along to make them insane, we're good.
Yeah.
All right,
That's
let's
okay,
do
doesn't it?
today's previews, and then we'll swing around back for the unfun stuff ones.
Yeah.
Yesterday. Next, we have Going Out to Fight Some Villains. This is a Gran Torino card. 2/5 with a 4 high block. We have Good Enhanced Flip. Your rival's Chaos, Death, or Evil attack gets -2 damage. And then Enhanced Flip. If this attack's speed is greater than its printed speed, this attack gets -3 speed.
Sadly, does not share with ice walking, but
Probably for the best.
There are some random ways to pump your opponent's attack speed that I'm very familiar with from playing Ida, and maybe some of them even chain with this. But yeah, we were just talking about how good -2 damage is for a flip.
Yeah.
This sure does that, and flips for -3 speed if they're pumping their speed, which lots of people do.
Yeah. So this is another. We were comparing to Specialists of Sound earlier. This is another in that vein of. It's actually a bigger gain on the speed reduction than Specialists of Sound, but you can wait until they're actually mid-attack. The downside is you only get it once.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're like an aggressive deck and you're just trying to buy a turn.
By exactly one turn. Yeah.
Then you might want this card more than Specialists of Sound. It's hard to say. You might split them 2/2, something like that.
Or just play both of them and have an 85 card deck.
You can do that too.
Yep.
Next we have Jetstream Crash. This is a 5/3 4-mid for 5 with a 2 high block. Another Gran Torino card.
It's empty.
Has Kick and Powerful 2. Enhance. If this attack is blocked, your next charge or kick gets +3 damage. Enhance. If this attack is not blocked, your next charge or kick gets +2 speed. This is cool. It's like having a gun to your head. Right?
Like, make a choice. They're
Make a
both
choice.
bad. They're both questioned. Like, this is one of those attacks that's like, this is a really solid common. Like, I will draft all. If they're gonna draft, I'll be like, I'll take all these.
Yeah.
I'll make people make the work decision, especially with him. You're just like, oh, you blocked it. Okay, I'm gonna destroy it. Bring it down.
Yeah.
Here's the next one.
Yeah, I think it's very much a Gran Torino kind of card. You know, you want to when you can build this card back to your staging area after it hit, if your opponent blocks it, and give them a bad time. That seems great.
Yeah, you can take this out of progressive, and your next attack's becoming better no matter what. It's a shame you can't somehow force your opponent to block and not block.
Yes.
I think it's interesting too that this punishes your opponent the most if they do something different. So if they say, I'm never blocking anything, well, they take 5 from this. They take next attack has +2 speed. You don't care because you're not blocking anything. But if they block everything, then they block this 4 speed mid, and they block the next attack with 3 extra damage on it, and they block whatever comes after that. And so if you're not sure where you're at standing with Gran Torino, you can get really punished by this card. And Powerful 2 is great too. We all love Powerful 2.
Give me just one moment. I'm preparing to get the previews from last night's stream.
Unfun stuff stream, yeah.
Yeah.
They were spicy ones.
They were spicy.
There is some. Yeah, they got 3 spicy cards, and I'm like,
All right, we've got the first one here. We have Excited for Blood. This is a 3/5 foundation with a 2 high block. I can't remember the crazy girl's name, but she's scary.
Toga.
Response flip. After your rival loses health, gain 4 health. Response once per turn. Lose 2 health. After your rival loses health, draw a card. So, the way I look at this, that first ability, is response flip. After your rival takes damage, loses health, delete one of their previous attacks.
yeah.
Control Z, undo.
Life and Death have an unflip that they have glamorous with this. Like that, I just realized that for a moment. I'm like,
And Naval Laser Beam.
oh my god. Like, Death is gonna have this, like, her and Death is gonna be this life-retaining monster, and it's gonna be like, oh, she's a 7-2. No, she's not.
Yeah.
Well, Nomu can run this too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
Although you might block him out maybe a little more realistically.
Momo can run this too.
And then response once per turn, lose 2 health. After your rival loses health, draw a card. Like, you know, we talked about on the show before how your health total is a resource that you can spend. Show of hands, how many of you would lose 2 health to draw a card?
I'm going to say it depends every time, but...
Well, Kevin raised 2 hands, so that's 4 votes.
Yep.
This card's so good. And it's an ultra-rare foundation.
And it's non-unique.
Non-unique.
I mean, I don't say the words, let's play 4x of a 3 diff, but this is a 3 diff I'm happy to play 4 of.
But then the thing is, too...
I can cheat this and play with Deku's card.
Yep.
Yeah. You know, once we said this earlier in the show, these things are going to trigger when you're playing My Hero Academia, because if you're not doing things that cause your rival to lose health, you're probably not winning, right? So those terms and conditions are not that hard.
Yeah, so we have Passing the Torch. Passing the Torch is an incredible card that I think is held back a little bit by the existence of Deadlock. And this is more Passing the Torches that don't even cost a commit cost as long as you can manage to touch your opponent. And on the other side, if you're not in the business of drawing cards, if you're in the business of just clinging to life by whatever means necessary, you still have to touch your opponent, but then it gains you an unseemly amount of vitality.
Kevin Broberg, you don't have to touch your opponent to use this card. They can pay lose life costs and activate this thing.
They can help you out too. That is true.
Yeah. Bleed for me.
Shoji's in shambles. It's like, well, I guess you're gonna get it sooner or later.
I mean, he can handle your opponent gaining 4. He hits really hard.
Yeah. I mean, Nomus have a lot of lose vitality costs. Shigarakis have a lot of lose vitality costs.
I see Loge's.
Like, in this
I know
season,
you're gonna blow up, so let me just
like,
flip
they
it
haven't
out.
really identified what her quirk was at this point in the show, right? Like, they
Right,
just knew she loved knives and she loved blood.
Yes.
They didn't explain it until the one season later. Where why did she like blood?
What does she actually do?
Yeah.
Why is she doing this? Yeah.
So this is actually a good lead up into her, for people who've seen where it is alive of everything right now.
All right, last spoiler for tonight.
There's one more.
There's
after
two.
this.
There's 2.
We don't have to talk about the attack. It's lame.
It's awesome.
That's
3 speed mid.
All right.
It kills people,
3
Kevin.
bid out of 10.
Let's take care of this Faith Shield first.
Okay.
This is a 2/4 with a 3-bid block. It's got Poison Ivy on it. I don't remember her name either.
Not wrong.
Ibarra.
Response remove. After you block with this card, this attack deals no damage. Flip this attack after it resolves. Enhance Destroy. This charge or stun attack gets -2 damage. It's not quite a Leaf Shield, but I'm happy with this. Because that response does more than you think, right?
It does so much.
I mean, first of all, yeah, you block with it, your attack deals no damage. So that's going to beat throw, that's going to beat the always deals 1. It's going to take care of all of that nonsense, because can't always beats can.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But it also flips the attack, messing up their combos.
Yeah.
Yes. And it takes itself out of your card pool to boot.
Yes.
Yes.
To make sure that you're not doing this over and over and over and over and over again.
You can also E-Destroy to give your charge or stun attack -.
Because you need to get it in your discard pile, Sean, so you can pick it up with your throw.
Yep.
Yep.
You need a way to that's why it's on there. That's all.
Is the throw a charge attack or a stun attack?
Unfortunately, I don't think so.
is.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't sound.
It would be extra
Daggers.
funny if it was.
So,
I was just destroy -2 damage. Like,
Yeah.
like
I mean,
I don't really think it needed the wheel. It didn't need the wheel here, but you know what? We needed a card like this. That like just in general, it was coming eventually. I'm happy it's coming sooner than later.
Yeah, I'm glad we have this. I wonder why it's like this feels like the entire kitchen sink is in one card, and like there could have like
Like
you
the
could have
block
a
on
block
flip.
trigger that would flip
Yeah,
it,
yeah, yeah.
a block trigger that would make it deal no damage, just block triggers that would remove themselves.
I have the big brain question because this is going to come up, and I don't know the timings of this for the life of me. So I have this effect floating from the block when I block with this, saying should be flipped. My opponent is Ochako, and it's trying to bring up
Yeah.
a meteor shower. Does the meteor shower because it's their turn?
Yeah, my high attack resolved is certainly occurring.
But yours is a floating. Theirs is one they
Yeah.
have to respond with. So it goes.
So Leaf Shield would flip it first, and then she would still have priority to respond. But what that response would do, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would expect it not to work, but it's a fair thing.
This
to
is
double
one of
check
those
because
things that's going to
yeah.
need.
It's one of those things that this kind of thing comes up almost never, right?
But
Right.
but the
This
thing
is
is,
probably the first
there is
maybe
a
Free's
whole
still in the chat right now. Maybe
there
he
is
can give us an
characters
answer.
that have these abilities that interact at this point in time. It's like because this is different than Villains Defeated. Like it has that like
Right. 'Cause, yeah.
Villains Defeated says when this resolves.
Yes.
Like
Yeah, Villains Defeated is also a response like Ochako, and so but because Face Shield's a response to blocking rather than the attack resolving,
Yeah.
it sets up a delayed effect when the attack resolves,
Yeah.
and delayed effects or floating effects always go before
Yeah.
response. Before
Yeah.
players get
Yeah,
priority.
It
to
cuts
put
in line in front of Ochako's
Yeah.
response.
Yeah, I imagine there will be an FAQ of some kind.
Yeah.
You know, when
Yep.
when the set's actually releasing. One of the things about preview seasons is we get to lob all these rules questions, and they don't really have to produce answers until the
Until
set's
they're
about to come out,
darn
and then
good
they
and
just
ready.
give us all of them at once, right?
Yeah. So
Uh,
zero gravity lift stonks are going down from this card, but
Yeah,
It deserves
it's one of those cards that might be 4x a lot early on, and then people will start to decide that I could just play Walkling instead, or maybe 8 copies of these cards is too many.
yeah.
It's very easy to look at a single preview and say, oh, I'm 4xing this, and then you're building your deck, and
Yeah.
it's 90 cards because of all those cards you just said, oh, I'm 4xing this.
Yep.
all right.
All right, back by popular demand, except for Kevin, we have Cinder Convection. It's a 5/3 Ice Husband card, 3-bid for 5 with a 1 high block rather. Charge, powerful 3, ranged, stun 1. A nice Jason Horonsky card. Enhance, discard a momentum. This attack gets +1 to all of its keyword ratings. Enhance, if this attack is not blocked, both players lose 2 health.
Alright, it's a 3-speed out of mid.
A 3-speed out of mid.
I see this as like a combo player card, like if
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so the idea here is you find ways, and maybe not a lot of them exist outside of Todoroki right now, but
There's another one.
there might be Giant Ice Wolf, for instance. You find ways to give it more copies of stun,
Yes.
and then you give all of those stun ratings +1, and then this card just kind of shuts down their board, and then you can kind of do whatever you want afterwards. And you're not really planning to kill them with this thing.
Yeah.
It's more about setting
they still
up
kind
the
of have to
stage
block
for
it because it does cost them 7 life if it hits.
Yeah.
Or more from powerful. All right.
This is one. Yeah, this is a card that's gonna be. Will get better if they are not. If they have to pick and choose how they give effects and how effects are given and stuff like that. Like, because there is also another. This is one of those cards will be hilarious in other formats too, of what it can do with a few abilities that exist. But right now, just power maxing out stun and just tapping their board is gonna do a lot of work.
Yeah, with Todoroki, if you have that momentum, this is stun 5 in the front. That's okay.
Yeah, that'll set someone up for your +2 speed, +2 damage.
Yeah.
13 million volts.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so that's it for previews for tonight. We ran long already.
Yep.
But I do want to remind everybody that over at RochesterCCG.com, you can get your pre-orders for Crimson Rampage booster displays right now for $88. Plus, your lifetime discount does stack on that price.
Lifetime discount.
10%ers all in this room. And, if you do order 6, we're going to send them as a sealed case. I get a lot of questions about that. If you order in quantities of 6, you're going to get cases. Because we want to make sure you get your SRs. Presumably the set has them. It'd be kind of a weird about face if it didn't.
Yeah.
So, gentlemen, we're going to have to make a call here now. We're 15 minutes over already, and we have 2 topics left for tonight still. What do we want to do?
We basically have tournaments, right?
We have tournaments.
Yeah. I'm down to keep going.
Let's
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
We took a day, a week
Yeah, we
off.
have a provisional coming up.
Let's talk some metagame.
all right. Let's talk some metagame. All right, tournament results. There were 2 tournaments last week.
Yep, and one the week before that we didn't cover.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah.
But let's get to the one. Like,
Yeah,
these were for something. These weren't weeklies. I'm sorry to say, these weren't the weeklies, but these were tournaments that were an objective prize of money.
Yeah.
And money means something to us.
Cash and glory on the line. And if you didn't play these tournaments, like, I don't know what you spent your weekend doing, but you can have fun, but you can also have fun and make money because there are some stacked cash purses for these tournaments.
I worked here at the warehouse. I did both those things.
They were vastly disproportional to the number of players who entered them, frankly.
So let's go back in time. Let's go back to 2 weeks ago. I don't even remember what was there.
Was
There
that
was-
Sam's event?
2 weeks ago there was an Ace Maneuvers put on a tournament.
Yep.
That was they were trying to set up a series, didn't quite get a lot of sign-ups for. So, all right, well, we'll run one event. We have, I think it was 15 or 16 people here.
Tim Keefe, you came in 2nd place in that tournament.
Yes. I came in 2nd place playing a Chaos Ochako 1 list, which we may talk about a bit later. I lost to a Joel Bradley. I might be missing the last name there, but playing a Giro deck. There's kind of my deck abandoned me in the last round. I don't know if I would have won if it didn't, but I sure
Checked an awful lot of threes.
yeah, I sure wasn't winning the way that was going. But yeah, so that event was a Giro versus Ochako finals, and then in the 2 events this past weekend we had Nomu versus Tokoyami in both of them.
Yeah, actually, same 2 decks in the finals. Although I guess different builds probably.
Yes.
Different people.
Yeah, I heard Phil Birch lost to Nomu.
Yes.
Yep, Phil Birch, infamous Nomu hater. That deck is terrible. Can't beat anyone except him.
Yep.
Yeah, so we had an Earth Nomu in one finals, a Death Nomu in the other. The Earth Nomu is the one that won, but for my money, I like the Death one better. I think it's really pulling out all the stops to show up Nomu's weaknesses as best as it can.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you got to do if you're gonna play Nomu.
Yeah.
And so, to refresh my memory, the event from 2 weeks ago was pre-bans, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And then the 2 events over the weekend was
Post-bans.
post-bans.
Yes. So there were a couple of Hiroshimas in the Ace Maneuver event. They did not make top 4. People knew they were going to be there, right? But yeah, post event, we saw some Nomus running loose. We saw some people showing up with Tokoyami a little bit more. I think the Unfun event had like 4 Tokoyamis in it or something ridiculous like that.
I know. I think I played against 3 Tokoyamis at the end of the day because I played into Birch twice. And yeah, I know I think Sam said he played into Tokoyami 3 times in Swiss.
I played in the Red Riot event. I played into 2. I went lost to an evil Tokiyami, beat a fire Tokiyami / Ice Daddy. Like, there was, like, literally, when you swap it over, I'm like, why are you changing into this character? Like, okay, sure, whatever. I'm playing Zero here, also.
Yeah.
My third round opponent revealed my character. My third round opponent said, I don't want to play. I don't know if he was dropping because he just was done for the day, maybe, but I'm like, cool. And then my fourth round opponent, I played a Jiro that I could put to 1. And I put every time I was like, I get you to 1. I can't put lethal on these numbers. And I was playing Hardens. I was playing Hardens to get the finishers off. And I'm like, wow, I'm just losing this match.
I do like, it seems like the format's a lot more open without Hiroshima, right? Because it wasn't all Hiroshima mirrors, or not all Nomu mirrors, or not all Tokiyami mirrors. Like, it felt like the events, despite being smaller, were a little more varied.
Yeah, we saw really all of the decks that were in these finals were things that the old hats, the people doing tier lists or so, would say are all probably too inconsistent to actually go through a top 16 at the provisional and win. And we'll see. And these certainly were not events with top 16s that you have to get through, right? So we'll see how that bears out. Do more people play these decks after the weekend? Are they still have doubts about them? What do we see? Do we see a lot of All Mights, a lot of water decks?
Right, because this weekend is the PPG provisional. That's a
256
person tournament.
Yep. We don't know where the Discord server is yet. We'll find out hopefully in an email in the next few days, because the one listed does not have Discord seating yet built.
So my understanding is all 4 of your heroes are playing in this weekend's tournament, maybe?
I am commentating.
Good for you, Tim.
Just established that before the show.
Yeah, I forgot about that before the show, which I think is great. I mean, I think Tim's going to bring a lot of good knowledge. I mean, he's been playing My Hero Academia and My Hero Academia like card games for, 16 years.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to, whoever he's paired up with, I don't know who your other commentator is, but I think
neither do I.
If you're not playing and you are able to, I would definitely recommend checking out that commentary, because Tim's going to bring the knowledge. Yep. He's going to school everybody.
I'm playing a fun deck. That's about all I can describe it. Like, I am playing. I couldn't find anything that's in the. Here is my opinion. I don't want to play. If I'm going to play Jiro, I want to play Jiro at maximum capability.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to do that. I said, it just feels like, okay, cool, I can do it, but nah. And I didn't want to play. I decided to give Mr. Jeffrey Kahn my other deck that I was going to play, because he was having issues finding a deck. So I decided whatever provisional character I get in my pack, I will play. I got 2 actions in my provisional pack.
Hey, at least you got your provisional packs. I was also in your boat, Jesse. I was considering playing whatever provisional character I got in my packs, and I only just got tracking today, so it's not likely I will have my provisional packs in time.
But luckily, one of the local players who's more of a webcam player obtained a Sato. So I'm going to be rocking Sato this weekend, and it's going to be a fun time, because you know what? I like draw equals damage.
Yeah.
Kevin Broberg, are you going to run your Victory Midnight this weekend?
Almost certainly not. It's kind of appealing, I guess, but then I have to get more copies of the kicks again, because you're playing you're playing the store cards.
Yeah. Alrighty, so that's coming up this weekend. Don't think we have too much more to talk about events. Local results. What have we been playing?
I played. What did I play this last week? I played my Tokiyami and got just pumped in by everything I tried to do. I was not having fun with it, because I was testing things. I was testing some alternate cards, and none of them were working. So I was like, wow, the base build is just the best build I've come up with for Tokiyami.
Tim, what'd you play last week?
Yeah, so after working on the Chaos Ochako a little bit, so I wanted to try something a little more defense. So I played the Water Asui deck last week, which I've been talking about a lot, and finally actually put a list together for and brought to a local. Pretty much worked as advertised. It had some games where it blew people out, had some games where it walled them out. Pretty cool to be able to do both those things depending on the situation. Has some tools, kind of like it. Gonna work on it again this week, and we'll see. I think Chris Bromley is going to be playing a Water Asui at the provisional, so I'll be interested to see how he does.
Sweet. Yeah, and I played. So I didn't quite play a character out of my provisional prize support, but I did open a Plus Ultra pack. Well, I opened a Mina at the start of the tournament anyway, and decided to switch characters into Mina on a whim, and it worked pretty good. I was gonna play Kamui, and I just swapped Mina in front of the deck, and yeah, played pretty well. And then I iterated on a bit to play in the Bromley event last Sunday, and that went pretty good too.
I mean, she's a fun slot machine, and
Yeah.
she's one of those characters. I'm like, she's gonna be one. She's gonna slide away, and then there's gonna be there's gonna be enough huge attacks or enough like efficient attacks off her, and it's gonna be like, what do you play? I'm like, I'm playing the slot machine deck.
I think she can be legitimate right now. I don't know. Me and Kevin and to some extent in some of the discords, there's this ongoing conversation of which water 7 hand size you play.
Yeah.
And I think Asui, Mina, and Kamui are all the ones that have some sort of unique appeal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, honestly, the distinction feature for Asui isn't even like slot machine to 6 damage attacks. It's really just like playing cards that have powerful effects that I'm content playing them kind of in a weird spot in the sequence, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like playing Frog Lashing. It's just gonna be, it's a 5 high for like 7 or 8 or whatever. And you know, it's not like perfect. It's not. I'm not checking all the boxes for it, but I can just kind of throw it out as my 4th card in a build turn. It's not that bad. Or I can just like, I'll just like tack on a sticky ball. The thesis of the deck is I'm going to have this giant search space to find sticky balls every turn of the game if I want to.
Yeah. Mina's gonna flex into whatever she wants to do using that water flexibility. She's gonna be able to do it more on commit.
Yeah.
And that's sort of the appeal of that character. The appeal of Asui is you get a little early blow up potential, and you get to play Frog Kick, which is nuts.
It's vastly better than every other high block.
Yeah. And Kami Woods is probably the most capable of just against the right opponent completely shutting them down.
Yeah.
So guys, everyone will be very proud of me. Mm-hmm. I didn't play Eraserhead last week.
Yes.
Yeah.
I played Jiro.
Yeah.
And she's cool. You know, I went 201 with her. No, I'm sorry, I went 102 with her.
A little bit worse.
A little bit worse. In the third game, we had a mishap with the cards on top of my rival's deck, and my rival knew what was coming, and we couldn't think of a way to fix it. And I didn't want him to get a game loss, and so we just agreed to draw because we're having a good time. And I had a lot of fun. You know, I don't like Eraserhead. He seems good, but he's not that much fun to play, right? He's not this roadmap you follow and you usually survive and you kick people to the moon. Whereas Jiro is fun. She does interesting things. Her response, I think, is cool because you don't always want to shotgun it out. We always do want to, so, you know, a little self-control is kind of nice.
Yeah. Jiro has... She obviously has this, like, I drew the nuts, I'm just going to blow you up. But she has that potential, which is always a good potential to have. And there's some debate about, is she good enough when she's not doing that, right? Like, she can poke, activate her E, control some cards she's drawing, and try to win incrementally that way. But maybe that's not as good as some other characters doing it. Her late game sort of naturally just happens, because if she draws... She can draw that hot hand at any time, and it pretty much works at any time.
Yeah.
So she has a lot going for her.
The last 2 Ace Maneuver videos have shown off Jiro quite well. Of I'll sound wave into sound wave and get a momentum, and then kill you with a kill you with a home run.
The way to what's really important to her, and I think what's really important in not losing to her, is managing her momentum. Because eventually, if you let her get 2 or 3 momentum, she doesn't have to draw a hot hand to win. She can just draw a hand and make it a hot hand.
Yeah, you can take your single home run Comet, play 4 foundations, play the Comet. It's an 8 high 9.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a lot of powerful, but you have momentum. Who cares? Just, you know.
Yep.
Yeah. So it was fun. I enjoyed it. I won't be playing her at the provisional this weekend because she's not as good on webcam. But
yeah, it is actually a problem if they know what's coming.
Yeah. I do intend, though, at this time, to practice with her. I might show up to Omaha with her.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
I'd like to see it.
Thanks, Tim. And on that note, it's time to end. We got through all of our topics. We're going to be back next week with more previews. And I'm going to be pretty sure I'm going to be ready to announce the Rochester CCG sponsorship program by next week. So that's exciting. We'll see you then. Thank you for watching. Good night, everybody.
Dropping that right at the end of the show.